Have you ever wondered where the Sinti and the Roma people came from? What ancient roots connect these groups to one of the most captivating migrations in history? Stay tuned to find out how DNA evidence, ancient records, and cultural traditions paint a fascinating picture of their journey. In this video, we're diving into the origins of two closely related groups, the Sinti and the Roma. They've been a part of European history for centuries, often labeled as Gypsies, though this term is considered offensive by many today. But where did they come from? How did they end up living in various parts of the world, especially Europe? And what can science, including DNA studies, tell us about their remarkable journey? We're going back over 1,000 years, tracing their paths, exploring their culture, and seeing how modern discoveries have unlocked clues to their origins. So if you're ready, let's begin this deep dive into one of the most mysterious migrations in history. The Roma and Sinti didn't originate in Europe. DNA analysis and linguistic research have shown that their roots trace back to northwest India. About 1,500 years ago, groups of people began to migrate from this region. Some studies point to the state of Rajasthan in India as a likely starting point, though it's not certain. Historians believe that factors like war, drought, and social changes could have driven these early groups to seek a new life elsewhere. They may have started their long migration to escape hardship or seek new opportunities. This migration was confirmed through several linguistic studies that revealed that the Romani language has clear links to Hindi, Punjabi, and other languages of the Indian subcontinent. Their language contains words that closely resemble those spoken in India to this day, showing their ancestral homeland. Then there's the breakthrough in DNA analysis. In recent years, genetic studies have given us a clearer picture. By comparing the DNA of modern Roma populations with other ethnic groups, scientists found significant genetic similarities between the Roma and people from northwest India. This evidence strengthens the theory that this migration began around the 5th century AD. As the ancestors of the Roma and Sinti moved westward, they passed through Persia, modern-day Iran, and the Byzantine Empire, modern-day Turkey and Greece. In these regions, they picked up influences from the local cultures. This is why some Roma groups have traditions and crafts that resemble Persian and Byzantine practices. By the 10th century, they had reached Europe. They crossed into the Balkans, a region that would become home to many Roma communities. Here they were recorded in historical texts as Egyptians, which is how the term Gypsy was mistakenly coined. Europeans thought they came from Egypt, but as we know now, their journey began much further east. Once the Roma and Sinti arrived in Europe, they didn't settle in just one place. Over the centuries, they spread across the continent. This period in history saw them arriving in countries like Hungary, Romania, and Greece in the early 1300s. By the 1400s, they had reached Germany, France, and Spain. During this time, they often lived as nomads, moving from place to place, which is why they were seen as outsiders in many societies. They faced persecution, distrust, and laws that aimed to control their movement or force them to settle down. By the time the Roma arrived in Western Europe, a distinct group emerged known as the Sinti. The Sinti mostly settled in Germany and parts of France. They are considered a subgroup of the Roma, sharing the same roots but developing a slightly different culture and dialect over time due to the different regions they lived in. So when we talk about the Sinti and the Roma today, we're talking about two branches of the same tree, but they've grown in different directions, shaped by the countries they lived in. Recent studies in genetics have been instrumental in piecing together the Roma and Sinti's past. In 2012, a landmark study traced the origins of the Roma to a migration from northwestern India around 1,500 years ago. By examining the mitochondrial DNA, which is passed down from mother to child, researchers could track the lineage and migration patterns. One fascinating discovery was that the Roma didn't stay isolated during their migration. They intermarried with local populations in the regions they traveled through, especially in Persia and the Balkans. This is why modern Roma people carry a mix of Indian, Middle Eastern, and European genetic markers. These DNA findings help explain the diversity within Roma and Sinti communities today. Some groups, particularly those in Eastern Europe, have closer genetic ties to the original migrants from India, while others, like the Sinti in Germany, have more mixed ancestry due to centuries of interaction with European populations. The Roma and Sinti are known for their rich cultural traditions, many of which have been passed down for generations. One of the most iconic aspects of their culture is their music. Throughout Europe, Roma music has influenced folk, classical, and even modern music. For example, flamenco in Spain has deep Roma roots. Their tradition of storytelling has also preserved their history and values, despite the fact that they didn't have a written language for most of their history. This oral tradition helped maintain their unique identity, even as they moved through different countries and faced persecution. Despite their resilience, the Roma and Sinti have long been marginalized. Over the centuries, they were often treated as outcasts, subject to slavery in some regions, notably in Romania until the mid-19th century, and facing discrimination and violence. In the 20th century, the Roma and Sinti faced one of the darkest chapters in their history during the Holocaust, when the Nazis targeted them for extermination, resulting in the deaths of hundreds of thousands. Despite all these hardships, the Roma and Sinti have remained resilient. Their story is one of survival against the odds. Today, Roma communities can be found all over the world, from Europe to the Americas. Their culture continues to thrive, with their music, dance, and festivals being celebrated both within and outside their communities. Modern-day movements are working to challenge the stereotypes and prejudices that still affect the Roma and Sinti. Their journey is ongoing, but understanding their origins and the obstacles they've overcome is key to recognizing their place in history. The origins of the Roma and Sinti tell a powerful story of migration, survival, and cultural resilience. From their beginnings in India to their spread across Europe, the Roma and Sinti have left a lasting mark on the world. DNA studies, linguistic research, and historical records help us trace their incredible journey. So next time you hear the term Gypsy, remember it's not just a label. Behind it lies a complex and fascinating history filled with challenges and triumphs. If you found this story interesting, make sure to share it and let others discover the remarkable tale of the Sinti and Roma. And before we wrap up, what other stories from history would you like to hear about next? Let me know in the comments.